Hello students, this is your English lesson. In this lesson, we are going to read unit number 4, The Golden Crab from Oxford Reading Circle 6. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who had a wife and 3 children. Every morning he went out fishing, and whatever fish he caught he sold to the king. One day, among the other fishes, he caught a golden crab. When he came home, he put all the fishes together into a great dish. But he kept the crab separate because it shone so beautifully and placed it upon a high shelf in the cupboard. Now, while the old woman, his wife, was cleaning the fish, she suddenly heard a voice which said, "Hello, please get me out." She turned round in surprise, and then she saw the little golden crab. "What? You can speak, can't you?" she said. Then she took him up and placed him on the table. When her husband came home, they sat down to dinner. Presently they heard the crab's little voice saying, "Give me some too." They were all very much surprised, but they gave him some food. When the old man came to take away the crab's dinner plate, he found it full of gold. And as the same thing happened every day, he soon became very fond of the crab. One day the crab said to the fisherman's wife, "Go to the king and tell him I wish to marry his younger daughter." The old woman went to the king and told him what the crab wanted. The king laughed a little at the notion of his daughter marrying a crab, but he did not decline the proposal altogether. He was a prudent man and knew that the crab was likely to be a prince in disguise. He said to the fisherman's wife, "Tell the crab I will give him my daughter if by tomorrow morning he can build a wall in front of my castle much higher than my tower, with blooming flowers from around the world growing on top." The fisherman's wife went home and gave this message to the crab. Then the crab gave her a golden rod and said, "Go and strike with this rod 3 times upon the ground on the place which the king showed you, and tomorrow morning the wall will be there." The old woman did so. The next morning, when the king awoke, what do you think he saw? The wall stood there before his eyes, exactly as he had described it. Then the old woman went back to the king and said to him, "Your Majesty's orders have been fulfilled." "That is all very well," said the king, "but I cannot give away my daughter until there stands in front of my palace a garden in which there are 3 fountains, of which the first must spray gold, the second diamonds, and the third brilliants." So the old woman had to strike again 3 times upon the ground with a rod, and the next morning the garden was there. The king now gave his consent, and the wedding was fixed for the very next day. Then the crab said to the old fisherman, "Now take this rod, go and knock with it on a certain mountain. Then a servant will come out and ask you what you wish for. Answer him thus: 'Your master, the king, has sent me to tell you that you must send him his golden garment that is like the sun. Make him give you, besides, the queenly robes of gold and precious stones which are like the flowery meadows, and bring them both to me, and bring me also the golden cushion." The old man went and did his errand. When he had brought the precious robes, the crab put on the golden garment and then crept upon the golden cushion. The fisherman carried him to the castle, where the crab presented the other garment to his bride. Then the wedding ceremony took place. Later, when the married pair were alone together, the crab made himself known to his young wife. He told her that he was the son of the greatest king in the world, but he was enchanted, so that he became a crab by day and was a man only at night. He also explained that he could change himself into an eagle as often as he wished. Then he shook himself and immediately became a handsome youth. But the next morning he was forced to creep back again into his crab shell. And the same thing happened every day. The prince's affection for the crab and the polite attention with which she behaved to him surprised the royal family. They suspected some secret, but though they spied and spied, they could not discover it. Thus a year passed away. The princess seemed happy, but her mother still thought the whole matter very strange. At last she said to the king that he ought to ask his daughter whether she would not like to have another husband instead of the crab. But when the daughter was questioned, she only answered, I am happily married to the crab. Then the king said to her, I will hold a tournament in your honor, and I will invite all the princes in the world to it. And if any one of them pleases you, you shall marry him. In the evening, the princess told this to the crab, who said to her, take this rod, go to the garden gate, and knock with it. Then a servant will come out and say to you, why have you called me, and what do you require of me? Answer him thus, your master, the king, has sent me here to tell you to send him his golden armor and his steed and the silver apple, and bring them to me. The princess did so and brought him what he desired. The following evening the prince dressed himself for the tournament. Before he went, he said to his wife, now, mind you, do not say when you see me that I am the crab, for if you do, evil will come of it. Place yourself at the window with your sisters. I will ride by and throw you the silver apple. Take it in your hand. But if they ask you who I am, say that you do not know. So saying, he kissed her, repeated his warning once more, and went away. The princess went with her sisters to the window and looked on at the tournament. Presently her husband rode by and threw the apple up to her. She caught it in her hand and went with it to her room. Her father was much surprised that she did not seem to care about any of the princes. He therefore arranged a second tournament. The crab then gave his wife the same directions as before, only this time the apple which she received from the servant was of gold. But before the prince went to the tournament, he said to his wife, now I know you will betray me today. But she promised that she would not tell who he was. He then repeated his warning and went away. In the evening, while the princess, with her mother and sisters, was standing at the window, the prince suddenly galloped past on his steed and threw her the golden apple. Then her mother flew into a passion, shook the princess, and shouted, does not even that prince please you, you fool? The princess, in her fright, exclaimed, that is the crab himself. Her mother was very angry because she had not been told. She ran into her daughter's room where the crab shell was still lying, took it up and threw it into the fire. Then the poor princess cried bitterly, but it was of no use. Her husband did not come back. Now we must leave the princes and turn to the other peoples in the story. One day an old man went to a stream to dip in a crust of bread which he was going to eat. When a dog came out of the water, snatched the bread from his hand and ran away. The old man ran after him, but the dog reached a door, pushed it open, and ran in, with the old man following him. He did not overtake the dog, but found himself above a staircase, which he descended. Then he saw before him a stately palace, and on entering, he found in a large hall a table set for 12 people. He heard a great noise and hid himself behind a great picture so that he might see what would happen. He trembled with fear. When he took courage to look out from behind the picture, he saw 12 eagles flying in. At the sight, his fear became still greater. The eagles flew to a fountain that was there and bathed themselves. Once suddenly they were changed into 12 handsome youths. Now they seated themselves at the table, and one of them took up a cup and said, "A health to my father," and another said, "A health to my mother." And so the healths went round. Then one of them said, "A health to my dearest lady. Long may she live and well, but a curse on the cruel mother that burnt my golden shell." And so saying, he wept bitterly. Then the youths rose from the table, went back to the great stone fountain, turned themselves into eagles again, and flew away. Then the old man went home. Soon after, he heard that the princess was ill, and that the only thing that did her good was having stories told to her. He therefore went to the royal castle, obtained permission to visit the princess, and told her about the strange things he had seen in the underground palace. No sooner had he finished than the princess asked him whether he could find the way to that palace. Yes, he answered, certainly. Oh, please take me that at once, she pleaded. The old man did so, and when they came to the palace, they hid her behind the great picture, and he advised her to keep quite still. Presently the eagles came flying in and changed themselves men into young men, and in a moment the princess recognized her handsome amongst them all, and tried to come out of her hiding place. But the old man held her back. The youths seated themselves at the table, and now the prince said again, when it was his turn to speak, "A health to my dearest lady. Long may she live and well, but a curse on the cruel mother that burnt my golden shell." Then the princess could hold back no longer. She ran forward and threw her arms round her husband. He was very happy to see her. "Do you remember how I told you that day that you would betray me? Betray? To not be loyal to your country or anyone," he said. "Now you see that I spoke the truth, but all that bad time is past, though I must still remain enchanted for 3 months. Will you stay here with me till that time is over?" So the princess stayed with him and said to the old man, "Go back to the castle and tell my parents that I am staying here." Her parents were very much vexed when the old man came back and told them this. But after the 3 months of the prince's enchantment were over, he ceased to be an eagle and became once more a man. They returned home together, and then they lived happily ever after. Exercises. A. Questions. 1. Why did the fisherman become fond of the crab? Answer. The fisherman became fond of the crab because every time he served the golden crab food, It left gold coins on the plate after it had finished eating. 2. Summarize all the challenges that the king set for the crab. Answer. The king set two challenges for the crab. The first challenge was to build a wall that was taller than his tower in front of his castle. The wall also needed to have blooming flowers from all over the world atop it. The second challenge was to create a garden in front of the king's palace, which had three fountains, one fountain spraying gold and other diamonds, and the third one brilliants. 3. Why do you think the king set up these challenges for the crab? Were the challenges fair in your opinion? Answer. I think the king set up these challenges because he wanted the prince to reveal himself through the challenges. These challenges were fair because if the crab was an enchanted prince, he could perform these easily. 4. What would have happened had the princess not revealed the crab's identity? Answer. If the princess had not revealed the identity of the crab, they might have continued to live peacefully. However, the king would want the princess to marry a human prince. He would have grown more curious about the crab and create more challenges for him. 5. Did the prince's mother do the right thing by throwing the crab shell into the fire? Give reasons for your answer. Answer. I do not think that the queen did the right thing because she did not know the complete truth about the crab. She threw the shell into the fire out of anger and not because she cared about her daughter's happiness. Because of her action, the prince disappeared, which caused great grief to the princess. 6. Had you been in the crab's place, would you have forgiven the princess and her mother after what they did to your shell? Why or why not? Answer. Yes, I would have forgiven the princess and her mother because of my love for the princess. The princess had made a mistake by telling the queen about my true identity and had not meant to put me through trouble. The princess and queen had been through a lot of pain and things had turned out well in the end. B. Reference to context. Read these lines from the story and then answer the questions. 1. They suspected some secret, but though they spied and spied, they could not discover it. A. Who are they? Answer. They refers to the prince's royal family. B. What is the secret that they cannot discover? Answer. The secret that they fail to discover is that the golden crab is actually a prince. C. What do you think about their spying? Is it right or wrong? Answer. Their spying on the princess is wrong. 2. Does not even that prince please you, you fool? A. Who is speaking to whom and when? Answer. The queen asks this of her daughter, the princess, when the handsome prince throws her a golden apple during the second tournament. B. Why is the speaker angry? Answer. The speaker is angry because she is desperate for her daughter to have a real prince for a husband and not a crab. C. What does the speaker discover and do after this? Answer. The speaker discovers that the prince who threw the apple was the golden crab and she throws the crab's golden shell into a fire. C. Words and meaning. Explain the idioms in bold. A. Come out of her shell. Was more socially interactive and less shy. B. Spread his wings. Realize his ambitions in life. C. Lets the cat out of the bag. Reveals something that is supposed to be a secret. D. A fish out of water. Out of place in a certain environment or around certain people. Thanks for listening. For new videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. And if you like my videos, please share and like.